Hey everybody, and welcome. I am trying really hard to get more on a regular schedule again with doing these videos for you guys. Honestly, I have everything's just been still so crazy with doing the move and stuff like that. And for those of you that have been following along in my stories and stuff, we just got some dirt and stuff like that to do our exceptionally long driveway. So we got like somewhere between 200 and 250 tons of dirt to be able to spread to build up our driveway. And this is just the beginning for that. So we're going to see how all that goes. And so it's been crazy with that. And then on top of that, I've just been delving so much into so much different literature lately, looking at different things, trying to dig a lot deeper on certain topics and stuff like that, so that we could have these conversations and bring a little bit more awareness into some of these things when we talk about different scriptures and stuff like that. And so I've been, doing a lot of reading and comparing in things in the canon of the Bible. And you guys know I generally use the 1611 King James Version with the Apocrypha. And I use it because it's what I have available to me right now in actual paper form. But when I'm looking online and stuff like that, I'm going into the Greek and the Latin and the Hebrew as much as possible as well. And whenever I can find a complete copy, which shouldn't be as hard as it is, and that shit is very frustrating, I want to get an actual Ethiopian complete Bible, because it seems like they have the most books in their Bible, and so that would be an amazing resource. But so far it's been kind of hard to locate one, at least where I am. And I've checked online and stuff like that too, and I just haven't found one yet. So if you guys know where one is, please feel free to let me know, because that would just be an incredible resource. So in the meantime, I have been just purchasing different books that aren't in the Apocrypha in the one that I have, so that I can delve deeper into these. Because anytime throughout my life that I've ever asked why it wasn't in there, it's always been that these books weren't inspired, for some reason or another. And the more that I've been looking into the research and into how everything came to be with the copy of the Bible that's most widespread here in America right now, it just, that explanation doesn't always seem to fit. Especially when there's references in the Bible to these other books. So at one point they were accepted, and they were actually accepted by key biblical figures as authoritative or inspired works. So then it's, well, why? Jesus even made reference. So then all of a sudden, some people later on got together and decided that they were going to say that the books were uninspired when they were referenced. So that's neither here nor there right now. Thankfully, most of them are available now in this amazing day and age where we can locate them, even if we have to do it in pieces, and find them so that we can research ourselves. Because there's definitely a lot of different verses in the Bible, and we're told that they mean one thing, and sometimes they do, but then sometimes when you hold them up to the light of these other texts, they mean something different. And it it allows us to be able to understand all of it better. So, here lately, and the first day I got it, I read the whole thing. I couldn't put it down, so I read the whole thing. And now I've been going back through and cross-referencing with different things in other books in the canon that we have. So, and you'll have to excuse the cover of this book, but I've been looking at this particular book, which is the Gospel of Mary and Other Apocryphal Gospels. So here it is. The cover is atrocious. I'm sorry. Whoever published this, I don't know what you were thinking. And I'm not normally critical of books at all, but the right? The image is horrible. I'm going to show you again. Like, look at this. This is horrible. This is, you know, I'm going to be utterly disrespectful for a moment and just say that this looks like super whitewashed zombies. So, I don't know how that made it to be on the cover of the book at all. I actually ordered some other books and didn't order this one the first time because of the cover, but then I was like, I really wanted the Gospel of Thomas, and I wanted the Acts of Pontius Pilate, which then later on I figured out that I was really happy to have the Birth of Mary as well. I already have a separate copy of the Gospel of Mary, so I didn't need another one, but it's nice to have them all together in this book as well. So that was nice. But and it seems to resonate with people so much, or they get really upset when I talk about figures in the Bible being whitewashed. But let's face it, the people in the Bible weren't all pale-skinned, and I don't know, I still struggle with the cover of this book, you guys. But Jesus wasn't like some white hippie-looking dude walking through the desert. So, and it's frustrating because when something as simple as accurate representation for religious images is so distorted, then it makes you immediately jump to, well, what else has been distorted? Because if something's so simple, like, how do you get it wrong? If something that simple is so grossly corrupted, because anyway, people get upset if you say that the Garden of Eden is in Africa, or was, if it doesn't exist anymore. So, I don't understand how that wouldn't be commonly accepted either. So then it makes you wonder, because when you start to, because I mean, you look in Genesis and where it's describing, it would seem to be easy, and people will jump in and they'll say, oh, well, the maps were different back then, but the river didn't change to a completely different continent. But anyway, so it's just so frustrating because of all of the strange excuses that people try to give to validate it. Like, you just can't fathom the fact that Jesus wasn't a white European. And that the first, Adam and Eve weren't white Europeans. But anyway, I'm completely digressing. I could probably talk about that subject all day long with so many different resources to back up my point. But I just don't understand why it's still even a debate in this in this day and age, but for some weird reason it is. Anyway, back to these Gospels. So, after reading them, and they're very interesting. Some of them are extremely interesting, and they clarify so many different things. And so there's a couple of just highlight points that I want to bring up today. I'm not going to delve into all of them, and I'm not going to get like too deep into all of it, but we're gonna bring up just some interesting things real quick. So the first thing is going to be in the birth of Mary. So let me turn to that really quick, and we're going to look at some fun things. Okay, so in the birth of Mary, it actually goes into apparently her parents had not conceived a child and were getting up there in age, which is a common theme with a lot of predestined people in the Bible. And an angel appeared to them and told them that they were going to have a daughter and that she was to be brought up in the temple. And so they did these things, and apparently Mary had devoted herself to God, as in that she wasn't going to be married and all of these things. And then they had this ceremony, like God led them to have this ceremony where, you know, certain signs had to be present, and then that was going to be who she was going to marry. And those signs presented themselves with Joseph, who wasn't even going to participate, and that's how they became, you know, engaged. So, after this, Gabriel comes to Mary and, you know, lets her know that she's going to have Jesus. And so in chapter 7, verse 3, it says, Hail Mary, Virgin of the Lord most acceptable, O Virgin full of grace, the Lord is with you. You are blessed above all women, and you are blessed above all men that have been hitherto born. So, and this was not the first time that she had spoken with angels. I mean, it says she is actually well acquainted with them, and that it was not uncommon. So it's really interesting, and they have this back and forth, and it's kind of explained to her that, you know, the Spirit of the Lord is going to come over her in a non-lustful way for her to conceive, you know, Jesus and stuff like that. So, but what I want to point out is a couple of things. Obviously, certain people would benefit from not having the "you're blessed above all women" and "you're blessed above all men" part in the Bible. But also how similar that sounds to the Catholic Hail Mary, which is, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. I think that that's the whole... If I left something out, I truly do apologize. It's been a long time. So, I was doing some research into where it said that the origin for that prayer comes from, and they say that they take it out of different parts of the Bible, like a verse here and a verse there, and make it. And so what I'm wondering is that the history that has been passed down, so as to not give away the fact that the original origin is possibly from the Gospel of the Birth of Mary. Because it's pretty much almost word for word. if it's not from there, it's pretty uncanny that they pieced together these verses throughout and made something that was almost word for word the same thing. It seems more logical that it came pretty much straight from the gospel of the birth of Mary. And then maybe when people decided that they didn't want that book in there, they said, oh no, it's taken from this and this and this and this. So it's just a really interesting parallel there with that. So, and along the lines of asking for saints to intercede for us, I've found some very interesting information about that, but that will definitely be a topic for another day. I just want to go through some basic highlight reels in these books today. And you guys, there's so much more to them than what I'm going to share today. This isn't going to be the only video on them. I'm just pointing out some things that I found interesting this time, and I've had to narrow it down to a few things. So I'm kind of going to go with a common thread this time. And then we're going to delve into them even deeper, like in the Acts of Pontius Pilate and what they say happened to like where they say Jesus was for the 3 days that he, after he died on the cross. So that was super interesting story right there, and we'll have to talk about that a little bit later. But hold on, I want to flip to something in the Gospel of Mary real quick to show you guys also. Okay, so I'm in chapter 5, and this is after Jesus died. And they were grieving and weeping, and Peter said to Mary, "Sister, we know that the Savior loved you more than all other women. Tell us the words of the Savior which we remember, the things you know, and we do not know, because we have not heard them." Mary answered, "I will tell you what is hidden from you." And she began to say the following words to them. And then she talks about a vision that she had. And that's alluded to in other books as well. And I'm not saying anything about the relationship. I am saying, though, that it seems like anything that had anything of a divine nature towards women didn't seem to make it into the canon. Like, it just seems to be a common thread with that. And, or anything that's, like, empowering in any way. Because I'm going to flip over real quick to the Gospel of Thomas. And this is, chapter 1 and verse 3. If your leaders say to you, "Look, the Father's kingdom is in the sky," then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, "It is in the sea," then the fish will precede you. Rather, the Father's kingdom is within you, and it is outside you. When you know yourselves, then you will be known, and you will understand that you are children of the living Father. But if you do not know yourselves, then you will live in poverty, and you are the poverty. And then it goes on in 77. Jesus said, "I am the light that is over all things. I am all. From me all came forth, and to me all attained. Split a piece of wood, I am there. Lift up the stone, and you will find me there." So, instead of heaven being like a specific separate place, so to speak, it's like a different realm that's all around us. So that changes some things in how we're looking at different things with the common metaphors that are used and explanations that are used. And there just goes on like so many more sayings just like that convey those same meanings about being in the present moment, you know, heaven being within and around us. And all of this, you know, makes everything that the Bible talks about like truly attainable. Whereas in other ways, if it's some separate place and you don't look within to deepen that relationship with with God, if you're looking outside for somebody else to tell you how, then they have the power to guide you, and you have to rely on them to a certain extent to show you these things and for you to understand these things. But if we're reading the parts of the Bible that say that it's within, and that understanding comes from within, and that heaven is within and all around us, and these things are all right there where we are, then it allows us that independence to cultivate that relationship on our own, in our own way, with our own understanding, and gaining a type of enlightenment that way. So there's nothing that I've been able to see in any of the texts that's truly like sacrilegious or weird in any kind of way. I mean, I still have to go and read all of the book of Enoch. I've read some of it. I've still got to read all of it. I knew that one, I'm not going to be able to say the same thing about that one when it comes to certain things. And I haven't been able to get my hands on all of them yet. But for these, so I can speak on the Gospel of Mary, Peter, Thomas, the birth of Mary, and the Acts of Pontius Pilate, and then the books that are in my 1611 King James Version, Bell and the Dragon, Ecclesiasticus, Wisdom, Maccabees. I'm leaving some out, but it's an easy list to find. And those are actually still included in the version that I have with that, which was a King James Bible, to be specific with that. So now I'm like looking at these other ones too and referencing them, and there's actually a lot of things that are said in these books that are also said in the canon that's become mainstream. And then there's things in the mainstream canon that reference things in these books. And then there's, as I pointed out before, there's prayers and there's certain customs, for lack of a better word, that have their roots in some of these books. And like the origin has just been kind of lost over time, or it's been redefined as being something else, when it's actually in these books. So I say this just to point out the fact that, in your journey of discovery, in your journey of, researching and getting to understand these texts better and explore them and cultivating that relationship and that understanding, that you need to be able to see the whole picture a piece doesn't give you the whole picture. It only gives you a tiny little piece that, you know, that people have chosen what's here, what's there, what this means, what that means, and instead of being open to looking at the whole. Because here's the thing, even if somebody felt like one of these books wasn't original, you know, whatever, there is nothing in those books that would, the ones that I'm referencing today, there's nothing in them that would change a person's salvation. So there's nothing in them that should make anyone be afraid of them being in the canon. The only thing that's different is these books provide a more of a view of equality between men and women, and an importance on women as well, and about going within to be able to truly cultivate that relationship with God. And I don't see how any of this could be threatening to churches and the Christian religion in general. So take that with what you will. You know, somebody recently was having a conversation with me, and they pointed out the fact that if they did not know who God was, and they were, you know, shipwrecked on a deserted island, and all they had was the mainstream canon, that it would be enough for them to be able to be saved. And I absolutely 100% agree with that. But the problem is that we're not on a desert island. We're in the middle of a society who has a skewed view on what certain things mean in the Bible and the way that certain things are portrayed in the Bible. And so to be able to fulfill our true potential in the society that we live in, we need to have a full understanding and stop suppressing parts of the truth. So that's just my opinion on it. Please do your own research. Please, please, please look into things yourself. Read things yourself. Don't take my word for anything. Check it out and see. The books are really relatively affordable on Amazon. And if anybody finds the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible, please let me know, because I am desperately searching for it so I can have them all in one book. Other than that, have a great day. I look forward to digging more into the Acts of Pontius Pilate with you guys here in the near future, looking a little bit more at the Gospel of Mary and some of the other ones as well, and seeing how all of that has had an impact on us. So, again, have an incredible day, have an incredible week, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.